Hello everyone and welcome to Journey with the Kellers. My name is Amanda Keller and today we are going to be making something in the Keller kitchen. So today is coming from the Star Wars, I don't know what that is, Star Wars Galactic Baking Cookbook, and today we are going to be making some Sith cookies. Ooh, I should have wore like my black hooded thing. Then I get too hot, so that's okay. All right, so just to let you know that this does, once the dough is made, it does have to refrigerate for 2 hours before you cook it or before you prepare it to cook. So make sure that, you're gonna have time to do that. Also, you're going to need to pull 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter, which is a stick and a half if you're using sticks. And it needs to be softened. So you need to pull that out ahead of time before you make this, okay? All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, it says preheat the oven to 350 degrees, but we already know we're gonna have to do the dough for 2 hours. So I don't think I want my oven sitting on for like 2.5 hours. That would be a long time. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need is a mixing bowl. And what you're gonna do is you are going to mix in this bowl or whisk or whatever you wanna call it. So you're gonna need first 3 cups of all-purpose flour. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so there's that first part done. Then you're going to want to add to this 1 tablespoon of dark cocoa powder. And you are going to need more dark cocoa powder later, but for right now it's just 1 tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon dark cocoa powder. Got that. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 2 teaspoons right there. Did I say powder? I said powder, yes. Okay, 2 teaspoons baking powder, which this is just a 2 teaspoon measuring cup, or measuring spoon, not cup. Okay, 2 teaspoons. And then you're going to also need a 1/4 cup, or a 1/4 teaspoon, I'm sorry, of baking soda. That's the 8, here's the 4. This will be fun getting out of this big old box. I should just switch this to a container, but then I'd probably forget what it is, or wouldn't be, or the writing would come off, and then I'd lose all my baking soda. Weird things happen around here. Okay, so that is a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, then your last thing that you're going to need is 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, which I don't think I have a 3/4 teaspoon in here. No. So we're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon. Ooh, there's an airplane going over my house. Wow. I was about to land on my house. Okay, so we got a 1/2 teaspoon and another 1/4 of a teaspoon to make 3/4 of a teaspoon. Mercedes, get out of the cat food. Dogs. Okay. Okay, so once you have that, you're just going to mix this together real well. It says to whisk it. I'm just going to use a spoon. You can use a whisk if you want. Okay. Okay, once you get that all kind of mixed together, whisked together, whatever you want to call it, you kind of get like a light brownish looking flour. Very light brown, maybe a beige. Okay, so now you're going to set that aside for a few minutes. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need is a stand mixer with a paddle attachment. And this you're going to go ahead and put your 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter that's been, set out to soften up. 1. Can you see my dog back there? See her back there? Over there? Yeah, she's eating the cat food. Wasn't much left in there, but that's what she's doing. She's being a stinker. Yeah. Mercedes! Okay, so wipe my hands off here. All right, so we got the 3/4 of a cup of the unsalted butter. Then you're gonna need 1 1/3 cups of granulated sugar, okay? 1/3 cup. Okay. Oops. Let's make sure this is on here tight, and it is. Okay, so now you're going to turn your mixer on, and you're going to let these mix together, the sugar and the butter, until they become until pale and fluffy. Okay, so make sure you got the slot there. I'm going to turn this on. I didn't think it would take too long. It's quite boring, but that's all right. Just watching butter turn. Would you like to watch butter turn with me? Here we go. Here we go. Watch butter turn. It's definitely a pale yellow. Well, I would say it's too fluffy right now. Yeah. Oh, we're getting there though. Looking good, you guys. All right, so we're almost there. Oh yeah, it's all coming together now. Goodness. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and shut that off for a minute. Okay, now to this, once you have that all done, you're gonna go ahead and mix in 1 egg at a time, blending until each is combined. And you're gonna need 3 eggs altogether for this. My eggs tend to roll away back into the corner. Okay, so we have 1 egg. Ooh, don't get any shells in there, that would suck. It doesn't want to come off. There we go. All right, we're gonna turn that on. Good. Okay, so as you can see, getting nice and mixed in there. Okay, so now we're going to add our 2nd egg. Okay, egg number 2. It's kind of slimy. It does. Okay, that looks all mixed in. Now egg number 3. Okay, put that in here. In the garbage they go. Okay. Speed it up a little bit. Nice and mixed in. Okay, so once you get all 3 of those mixed in, you kind of have a mixture that looks like that. Okay. All right. So now the next step, once you get those all mixed in, you're gonna, well, you need to shut this off because you're only supposed to mix that until it's combined. Okay. So now you're going to put in, it's supposed to be whole milk, but you guys, I don't buy whole milk, and I'm not gonna buy a whole thing of whole milk for 1 tablespoon of whole milk. So I'm just gonna use low-fat milk. Hopefully it won't affect it too much. I've never had it affected. But, you know, if you want to use whole milk, use whole milk. I'm just using what I have. Okay, so we need 1 tablespoon. Let's see. Yes, 1 tablespoon of whole milk. Where's my tablespoon here? Oh, right there. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of whole milk. Or in my case, low-fat milk, but that's okay. All right, you're going to go ahead and mix that in. Okay, then you're also going to add your vanilla and your lemon juice. So you need 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So here's Mercedes. You were just outside. Stop ringing the bell. She wants to go out and bathe in the sun. It's sunny today. So it hasn't been sunny pretty much most of the week. So now she wants to go out and sit in the sun. All right, so we have 1 and it's 1/2, right? Yes, 1 and 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. The other one, good. And then you need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. 2 teaspoons here. So 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. All right. And the last thing that you need is a 1 ounce container. This is Wilton's, this is actually Christmas red, but a 1 ounce container of red food dye. And does it say specifically, no, it just says red food coloring. It doesn't say gel or anything. And this actually did get used a little bit, but Wilton's is very, very strong food dye, and it's really hard to get out of here, so we're just gonna put that in there. Use this a little bit, but not very much. I think I used it like once, so it's still pretty much close to 1 ounce. Problem is getting it all out of there. You can use, you know, any food dye that you got, as long as it's a 1 ounce version of it, or use 2 to make 1 ounce, or however you want to do it. Trying not to dye my fingers red, and I think I'm going to end up doing it anyways. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we got that done. Let me wash off my fingers here real quick. And of course now I have a pink fingertip. It's always lovely. Who doesn't want a pink fingertip, you guys? Okay, so got that done. I'll show you guys what this looks like before we add the flour mixture to it. So you just got a nice kind of reddish looking thing there. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna shut that off for a minute, and I'm gonna pull this forward because I need more room. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix in the flour mixture on a slow speed just until it's combined, okay? So we're gonna turn this on to a slow speed. And we're gonna just take the bowl here, and we're just gonna slowly put it in there. Now remember, anytime you're adding like a flour, oh, and I didn't realize I hit that, I'm so sorry. Let me turn that back for you so you guys can see me here. Okay, so you gotta remember when you're doing this, try to do it slow, because the flour, if you do it too fast, you'll have a big puff of dust going up everywhere. Slowly add this in there. Just also trying to go past the edge of the bowl here. And I am getting a little bit of smoke coming up from the flour. Okay. So we got that all in there. We got a little bit on the counter here, so let's sweep that up. Woo. All right, and I'm gonna stop this for a minute, and I'm gonna scrape this all down because it's like getting stuck to the paddle. And we wanna make sure that all that's got flour in it and stuff gets combined in. I'm gonna scrape this down a little bit. And like I said, it says just until it's combined, so you don't wanna over mix it. So we'll give it a little bit more time here. Scrape it down one more time. Found some more flour sitting around. Make sure we get that all mixed in. My machine is starting to bounce. It really does not like thicker batters like this. Okay, there we go. Scrape this off. Okay, good. All right, I will lift this up. You guys are gonna see what it looks like here on the paddle here. It's basically a pretty thick cookie dough. Get that all scraped off of there. As much as you can. I'm gonna take it off to really get it. Of course, I'm probably dyeing my fingers red again. That's okay. Okay, so once you get this all scraped off, what you're gonna do is just cover this with plastic wrap, and then you're gonna stick it in the refrigerator. Let me make sure that I have the timing right. Coverable with plastic wrap, chill 2 hours or until firm enough to shape into balls, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then when our 2 hours is up, I will be back to show you guys how to prep these to cook them and then to cook them. But let's give you a close up too. There's a little bit of flour that didn't get mixed in. That's not good. Let's get that mixed in. And this is just not wanting to come clean all the way. I know spatulas are supposed to be great, but sometimes your fingers work better, as long as they're clean, okay? All right, let's get this off there. Let me wash my fingers and I'll give you guys kind of a close-up look. Okay. Oops, let's turn that back on. All right, here we go. So this is what it looks like. Just looks like, kind of like red velvet. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover this in plastic wrap and then stick it in the fridge for 2 hours or a little bit longer, depending on how long it takes to get firmed up. And then I'll be back to show you how we prep them to cook them and cook them. See you in a little bit. All right, you guys, so we're back. So this has actually been refrigerating for probably about 2.5 hours maybe, but that's okay. All right, so what you're gonna do first is, of course, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Pull this out of the refrigerator. You're gonna need about, it says a cup of dark cocoa powder in a shallow pan or a shallow bowl. I didn't measure it, I just dumped some in here and then I have it handy if I need some more. Okay, so you're supposed to take a thing of dough out and roll it into about a 1-inch ball. Okay. Add a little more there. There we go. Okay, so you get a nice little red ball like that. And then you're just gonna take it and dip it in the cocoa and you're gonna try to evenly coat it. So make sure it's evenly coated and then set it on a parchment covered pan. You're gonna need about 2 of those. Okay, and you're supposed to space them about 1.5 inches apart. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one more time. So you're just gonna take a thing of dough, roll it up in your hand. Oops, it's a lopsided ball. And then you've got that. Okay, you're gonna roll that into your cocoa here. Make sure it's all evenly covered. Giving it a little tap just to be sure, and put that on your pan. Okay, so you're gonna do this on both pans, get them all filled up, and then you're gonna pop them in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. You're gonna remove them from the oven when they're set on the edges, but before they get too brown. So once they start setting on the edges, then you're gonna pull them out of the oven, okay? You're gonna let them sit on the pan and cool for about 5 minutes, and then transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. So once you get all that done, of course you can eat them. And then when you want to store them, you store them at room temperature in an airtight container. You can also freeze them in layers with putting like a piece of parchment paper between each layer so that they don't stick together or freeze together. Okay, so we're gonna get these all panned up and in the oven. We'll cook them for 8 to 10 minutes and get them cooling off, and then we'll be back when they're ready to try. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, you guys, so it did take a little bit longer than 8 to 10 minutes. I would say it probably took about 12 minutes for them to get done, but everybody's stoves are different. So mine's is a gas stove, and they're just a little bit hinky about how long you cook stuff. But anyways, so they all are done, and let's take a closer look at these. Look at that. They really do look like a Sith cookie. It reminds me a lot of Darth Maul, doesn't it? Let's take a look at the inside, shall we? Okay, so when you open it up, it's nice and soft. They're still a little bit warm, but look at that. Those are so awesome. All right, you guys, so let's have a taste. I'm a little bit worried about how these are going to taste because all we put on the outside was dark cocoa that's unsweetened, which if I remember, dark cocoa at all doesn't taste good without sweetener. So let's give it a try and hope that the cookie is sweet enough to make the dark chocolate not so rude. All right. Okay. Okay, it's actually really good. So it just kind of tastes like a really soft cookie. I can't really explain the flavor. I guess you would say it's kind of like a chocolate chip cookie without the chocolate chips in it. That's what it reminds me of. It's actually pretty good. And I don't taste, you know, the sugar of the cocoa kind of mixes with the sweetness of the cookie. So you're not getting a bitter taste, which is thankfully fantastic. So these are really good, you guys. Except for, I think it's going to leave stuff all over my mouth. Because it's definitely leaving it on my fingers. All right, you guys, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe if you like, or don't if you don't. Everybody have a good day. Enjoy your cooking. Keep your kitchen messy. And we'll see you later. Bye.